energy is your essence. The only part it's yours alone is in the center. As it goes out, you and the person in the car become one. As it goes up and out, you and the next car become one. As it goes up and out further, it keeps going. All right? So, in your business, everything you do is felt. Everything begins and ends in energy. Your business has a mind, a body, and a spirit. Have you ever thought of it that way? I have. Because if we are made in the image of God, the God of my understanding, you'll have to take my understanding. I'm not going to share my understanding. But we are made in the image of God, which means we are mind, we are body, we are spirit. When you're talking about God, when you talk about the universe, what represents mind, body, and spirit is the mind is God, the body is Jesus, and the Holy Spirit is the spirit, right? Okay. With yourself, your body is the body. You want to feed it good nutrition. You want to feed it so all the cells can breathe well. That's your body. Your mind is your mindset, what you're thinking about. It's the subconscious. And then there's you, that soul within. So if we're a reflection of God and we create a business, then the business is a reflection of ourself. If the business is a reflection of ourself, that means the business must have a mind, a body, and a spirit. The body of your business is all the systems. It's the funnels. It's the ads. It's what else? All the systems of success, the accounting. It's all the nuts and bolts that make it work. It's the product itself. That's the body of it. The mind of your business, that's the mission statement, the vision statement. It's your mindset. It's the possibilities. That's the mind of your business. So what's the soul of your business? It's you. It's you to that very, very juicy center. Now, I have a question on that one too. If that is the soul of your business and you have all these resentments and you don't know what to do with them, but you keep stuffing them down, even if you accept and forgive, sometimes we don't let go of, sometimes we don't get rid of. How can that actually affect your business? How can what you hold in the privacy of your own heart, how can that affect your business? Are you ready? All right. Pressure. When you have a business, you're going to have pressures from all different directions. When the pressures come to finish a project, when the pressures from family, loved ones, tragedy, or just piles of paper, when all these pressures come, what will happen when they squeeze on you? Imagine this. Have you ever eaten a kiwi? Let's say it's really soft and you're trying to get the kiwi out. You start cutting through it. And you know what? You hold it too hard and you squeeze it and it starts squeezing out this juicy center. That's what happens to you. Have you ever thought of yourself as a kiwi? It's kind of crazy. But truthfully, when you are pressed, what's inside of you will squeeze out. If you have hidden fears, you have hidden insecurities, dark shadows that are laying dormant, what comes out of you is exactly what goes into you. What comes out of you is what has been sitting in there, ready and waiting to come out. Let's say you have a client that's screaming at you. All of a sudden, what comes out of you is the child within who never healed themselves from the anger of his past or her past. When someone questions you, what comes out is the way you reacted to when your husband questions you, when your wife questions you. What comes out of you is what is in you. And if what's in you isn't taken care of, that can be pretty crazy. Oh, I actually have I actually have a really good example of that. When I was doing the magazine, when I said it was against all odds, there are a couple of reasons. The magazine that we created, I wasn't the partner in the magazine, but I really became the partner of Chris in it. The reason was we started the magazine. It was Christopher Lee Helton, a partner, and then they brought me into it. And then what happened was Chris went away. Remember, he was a photographer. He went and he photographed celebrities. He went to do the Grammys, which were movies, not music. It was totally different. So he went over to do that in California. That was the same weekend that I was getting married to my first husband. So his partner was also a photographer, not nearly as good as Chris. I was like, I can't believe you're leaving on my weekend. He goes, are you serious? It's the movies. It's stars. Of course I'm going. It was funny because I'm like, of course. But either way, he left. His partner shot the wedding. That was the last day I ever saw him. Not only did he disappear with the pictures, didn't talk to me ever again, was I was alone in Orlando with a missing partner and a partner in California. And there weren't cell phones. It wasn't like that as much. So I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh my gosh, the partner's missing. We still have stuff to do. We have to create this magazine. What's going to happen? And I just had that oozy, really bad feeling in my stomach. I went, you know what? I don't care if he's gone. I'm into this. I want to do it. I'm going to do it. I took the key. I went to the office. I was like, all right, what are we going to do here? All right. And I'm all by myself because Chris hasn't called yet. So I just start doing what I do to keep things going. We had photo shoots already. We had models that had tear sheets, didn't have to do a model shoot. But then if you didn't have a tear sheet, you would do a model shoot. Well, what happened was Christopher called and I said, the other guy, he's disappeared. I haven't seen or heard from him since the day of my wedding. And when Chris came back, that man never showed up again. Not only did he not show up, but he took all the money to the business. They didn't have the normal money to start off a magazine with. So what was left after all the actual startup stuff was $20,000. That's not much to start a magazine, but because we're doing model shoots, we're still generating an income, okay? Now, he disappeared with $20,000. Not only that, we already owed the makeup artist. We already had done some model shoots. We already owed money that we now didn't have to pay out. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Most people would just say, oh, I guess that's it. I looked at Chris. I said, I love this idea. I love the magazine. I'm determined to make it work no matter what. And he goes, I'm not giving this up. We're creating this. And he and I bound together. And we, honest to God, we created this out of grit and soul and passion. Grit and soul and passion can do a lot. It can really do a lot. We just started working harder together. We did more model shoots. We got this together. We got a graphic artist. We got different people that would agree for payment later. And I sometimes would just take my check and go, just put that back into the magazine. This is my heart and soul. I'm going to create it no matter what. And here's another one. This is totally crazy. My soul print was, it was filled with passion. It was filled with heart. It was filled with this energy because I am an energy body worker. I was a healer back then. But my first husband I had brought into my life, I got to tell you, I was a person who never really went into a relationship that deep. But what happened when I met him, I fell in love at first sight. We were just so connected. He was a writer, prolific writer, amazing person, a genius in some ways. He really was. And not in others. But he really was amazing in the ways that I connected with him. In 1 week, we moved in together. We got married. Everything happened so fast. While we were married and while I was going through building this business, I was actually living a horrifying secret. I was living through being completely abused. And it wasn't the typical abuse, which made me accept it longer. It was abuse disguised as mental illness. And he was mentally ill. And he was undiagnosed at the time. Later, in a later relationship, he called me and it verified what I thought and what I felt. But he had multiple personalities. I know that's not the correct scientific word for it, but what I experienced was a man with many personalities. So now I have this deep, dark secret that I can't tell anybody. He had a guy within him that had the strength of 10 men. It was almost like a monster. And I used to, on a daily basis, I would try not to look like I was doing this, but I would hide my keys by the front door, kind of just so I'd be able to run out and save myself. And by the way, I very rarely made it out that door. I think I made it out twice in the years I was with him. But in that time that I was going through and creating this magazine, I was so determined, and I'm a healer, right? I chose to be in that relationship. Why? Because I was still there. Now, what does that do to my soul print? Well, it gives me secrets. Can I be there fully for my business? Well, I can't, but I thought I could because I thought I had it all under control. I was such a codependent healer that I cared more for his health in some ways than mine. But the truth was, I thought God brought me him so I could heal him. We'd write a book about it and we'd save all the other people with this disorder. I really thought it was supposed to be that way. I'm a healer. Why else would this person be in my life if I'm not supposed to heal him? At that point in my life, I did not know that a healer doesn't heal other people. A healer is a channel of healing. I still thought of it as my part in it, not that I was a channel. And I realized God brought me this person so I could learn how to love myself more completely and know that I can't heal anyone else, that they have to want their healing. So as we go along producing this magazine, we produced it to 3 magazines circulating. It was awesome. I was having a blast and terrified at my house. Having a blast, terrified at my house. There are so many times that I could have lost my life. But what happened each time was I would tell myself, I am not this. This is not who I am. He's not a reflection of me. I am this strong, beautiful spirit. I would talk myself up. I would do affirmations. And sometimes you can do affirmations to accept the unacceptable. So back to the business of the magazine. What would happen? Well, there was one point where I could no longer, I still never told anybody. They knew he was kind of different. He knew he had depression. I didn't say what I was experiencing. But what I did do was I tried to act like none of that mattered. So when I went forward, we were having a meeting with somebody. And when I went forward, the man was talking to us. I don't even remember who it was, but the man was talking to us and I could feel a tear running down my cheek. It was just one lone tear. I wasn't crying. You couldn't tell I was crying. I could hold a whole conversation. And then all of a sudden, tears from both sides of my cheeks, literally streaming down like rivers. But my face was totally fine. I was there. I was totally present and there. I thought I was totally present and there. But what happened was, as the pressures of creating this magazine, I couldn't pretend any longer, and I still wouldn't tell anybody. And Chris looked at me, and he's like, what's wrong? I tried to pass off to allergies, but it was obviously crying. But it was one of those silent cries where I could still talk and do everything, but just tears would stream down. That was the first day that I started uncontrollably crying. I uncontrollably cried for a year. Probably maybe longer, but it was a year until I took care of that. My body was saying, you cannot accept this. My soul was saying, I don't care where you're at, what you're creating. You cannot do this anymore. You cannot live in this toxic life. But it didn't matter because to me, I was going to do this magazine and everything was going to be great. I was going to ignore everything I was living. We did a photo shoot and I was the woman in the photo shoot and there was 3 men.